What is a foreign LLC? Well, it's not an LLC from another country. First things first. Now, let's get into the disclaimer before the other thing that I just said. Pretend like I didn't say anything. Disclaimer first. I am not your attorney. I'm not your CPA. I am providing generally accessible information on the internet that you can find anywhere. Just use me as use me as one of many resources, not as your sole resource. Always do a lot of research before you make any big decisions. That should just be kind of the way you live your life. It's the way I try to live my life. Okay, so getting into it. A foreign LLC, like I said, is not about having an LLC from Mexico or Canada or the UK or China or whatever. It's, again, one of those, and I've mentioned we have this playlist that talks about all these different complex topics that we break down into very, 10-minute videos that just crush a ton of information. So it's highly produced, got graphics and all this cool stuff. So highly recommend that you check that out. But, a big reason a lot of people are confused all the time, and why a lot of people just by default become a sole proprietor and don't file an LLC or a corporation, is because they don't want to talk to an attorney, they don't want to talk to a CPA, and I get it. They charge hourly, they're $300 an hour. They are not incentivized to be an inexpensive option for you to do this, which is why a lot of people use online services for their business formation services, BetterLegal.com. But one of the big problems that the state and federal governments have made this very complex terminology problem, where somebody just went to a naming conference and they all just named stuff in this weird ways. And a foreign LLC is one of those things. And so to have a foreign LLC, you have to have a domestic LLC. So here's the example I'm going to give. Let's say that I start my business, ABC Tile, in the state of Texas. This, by default, because I just did that, becomes my domestic LLC. It's the state of origin. It is where I started my LLC, and it will always be my domestic LLC right here. And then I want to expand into New York because I've got a friend or a family member there that visited me in Texas and said, "Oh my God, ABC Tile would crush it in New York. So you should expand to New York." Well, knowing that LLC is state specific and not through the federal government, again, playlist of videos, go check those out. Knowing that it's state specific, if you have a business in multiple states, don't you have to file an LLC in every state? Yes, you do. Only in states that you're doing work in. And so the state of origin, Texas in this case, is your domestic, is where you file a domestic LLC. And then when you expand to New York here, that is your foreign LLC. And so again, foreign does not have to do with international anything. It just means that this is one of the states that you expanded to off of your state of origin. So then if you go to Florida and California, you'll file foreign LLCs in all of those states, and Texas will always be your state of your domestic LLC where your origin is. So this kind of gets into an interesting kind of side topic that I'll mention, because you just hear, there's this kind of misinformation that happens by default. People just don't really understand what they're talking about, and so they just tell people what they should do. And this happens all the time. And probably you've heard people say, "Oh, you should get a Delaware S Corp." We have a video on that. Maybe that is right for you, but a lot of times it's probably not. But this is what people do, and this is what that means, is that Delaware is your state of origin, where you file in Delaware first. And so Delaware is you file a domestic LLC, and then you file in Texas. And Texas let me back up a little bit. Let's say Texas is where you're actually starting ABC Tile. This is where you're actually doing the physical work. What companies like, Fortune 500 companies, they all usually are in Delaware. And that's why it's so common. Oh, big companies are in Delaware, so you got to be in Delaware. But in reality, what they're doing is they're starting in Delaware, and then they're opening up a foreign LLC or corporation off of that domestic one. And that is because of case law and stuff that I'm not going to go into. It's just a popular thing to do. It's not necessarily the best thing to do, but it is a popular thing to do. And so a company like Amazon or Uber or Google or Facebook, they start in Delaware, and this is where their domestic corporation or LLC is, and then they do a foreign in Texas, a foreign in California, a foreign in Florida, anywhere they're having a retail store, an office, or people are actually doing work. And why is that? Well, because the state wants its tax revenue. So Delaware is one of very few states that has zero income tax, period, on corporations. Sorry, on corporations, there's no tax on corporations. And so everybody says, oh, okay, well, I don't have to pay taxes. Well, yeah, if you're actually doing the work in Texas, Texas is going to want their fair share. So just because you're in, or just because you formed in Delaware doesn't mean you're going to be able to get away with, not paying taxes. So I'm going to stop there. And I'm just going to say, if you got value out of this video, like and subscribe. Go to betterlegal.com, get an LLC or corporation from us, and I will see you on the next video.